Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic. So it was bound to happen once those pictures of Dune came out and that article came out yesterday from Vanity Fair that everyone's going to start criticizing this film. So this film is kind of in a unique position. I've never seen a film like this before, but it's getting it from both ends. It's for lack of a better term, I'm going to divide the groups up into SJWs, anti-SJWs. So the SJWs were attacking it yesterday on Twitter, and because they say the cast is being whitewashed because there are no Arabs in the cast, and so it's problematic. So they actually regurgitated an article that came out quite a while ago, and I actually did a video on that article, and so they've that article has resurfaced. And then on the other end, the anti-SJWs are saying that this movie is going to be woke trash. Because of the race and gender bend of Dr. Liet Kynes. So I've been looking over all this stuff yesterday on Twitter, and even watched a video by Geeks and Gamers this morning when I got up, who commented on this article, and they say the same thing, that they think it's woke and all this. But the thing about it, I noticed from a lot of these people who comment on this stuff, they don't know anything about Dune. So it's an odd thing. So I'm going to go through this Bounding in the Comics article, and I'm going to point out why I think they're way off the mark here. So here we go. Sharon Duncan Brewster confirmed as race and gender swap Liet Kynes in Dune film, plus other heavy indicators the film will be woke. Okay. The upcoming Dune film will feature a race of gender swap Liet Kynes, Sharon Duncan Brewster playing the character. Not only will the character feature this race and gender swap, but comments from the cast and director indicate the film will be woke. Okay, so let's just take on that. I've talked about this a lot. Now, just because a film takes a character and either race swaps them or gender swaps them, that doesn't always mean it's gonna be woke trash, in my opinion. Now, I have stated flat out many times. I was honest with my opinion. I've read Dune a lot. I'm familiar with the book. I'm familiar with the character of Liet Kynes. So in my mind, he was always a man. So that's why I would prefer it if the character was a male, like played by Idris Elba or someone like that. However, with that being said, this isn't a deal breaker for me. I'm open-minded to see where this leads and where it goes with this race and gender swap of this character. And the reason why I feel that way is because who's making the film? It's Denis Villeneuve. He has a very good, in my opinion, very good track record for me. All the movies I've seen that he has made have been really good, and he has knocked it at the park. And the other thing about, he's never ever sacrificed his story for like personal politics or anything like that. I always made sure the story was very good first, even despite the fact that he does lean left. And so that's why I think that's why I'm open-minded to the change, and why I don't think that change is going to break the movie. Honestly, if you're going to, what other character are you going to race swap or gender bend? And you have to think of it this way. If you're in that position, you got this movie coming out, you almost have to, in that world of Hollywood, you have no choice. You got to play into these kind of identity politics, I think. I don't think there's any way around it. If there was nothing like that, all the crazy SJWs online would attack the film for having too many males or this, that, and the other thing. So by taking this one character and making them a woman, maybe within the hopes of combating those kinds of attacks. Unfortunately, that's not working. They're still swarming the film. So, honestly, this is the easiest character to do it to, because Liet Kynes is not like a huge major part of the book. Like, I don't think, like, you wouldn't be able to turn Duke Leto into a woman, or you wouldn't be able to turn Lady Jessica into a man, stuff like that. That's probably the easiest character you could do it to. So let's move on here. The character had previously been portrayed by Max von Sydow in David Lynch's 1984 adaptation, and Carol Dorey portrayed the character in the Sci-Fi Channel's 2000 miniseries adaptation. And then it just goes through just describes the character from the book. So I'll just skip that part. And then it goes on to say, Vanity Fair claims the gender swap is an intriguing change that director Denis Villeneuve updated Liet Kynes. Brewster commented on her role as Liet Kynes, indicating the film will be woke. She stated, what Denis had stated to me was that a lack of female characters in his cast, and he had always been very feminist, pro-woman, and wanted to write a role for women. Brewster added, this human being manages to basically keep the peace amongst many people. Women are very good at that. So why can't Kynes be a woman? Why shouldn't Kynes be a woman? So now everyone's freaking about that statement. I can kind of understand why. I mean, whether you can keep the peace or not amongst anyone doesn't matter. That your gender has absolutely nothing to do with that. But still, that's just like a fluff statement, I think. And I think it's something people are reading too into it. And so now we'll go into the other things. Villeneuve also discussed the film, describing it as a narrative that as a critique of capitalism. He explained, no matter what you believe, Earth is changing, and we will have to adapt. Villeneuve then added, that's why I think Dune, this book, was written in the 20th century. It was a distant portrait of the reality of the oil and capitalism and the exploitation, the overexploitation of the Earth. He concluded, today things are just worse. It's a coming-of-age story, but also a call for action for the youth. Okay, so I'll deal with that first. I'll deal with this first. So all the things he's talking about, the environmental theme in this movie, that's in the book too. All the themes he's talking about in this article are in the book. It does deal with capitalism, and then this is like a term that gets like chucked around. So when he's talking about capitalism, in my opinion, he's talking about the same kind of capitalism that the right-wing libertarian politician or former politician Ron Paul always talks about, and that's crony capitalism, or as he calls it, corporatism. It's when a corporation gets so big that it can actually affect the government and corrupt the government by buying off politicians. And when you get to that level of capitalism, then yes, it becomes a problem. And but this is different from free market capitalism, because that crony capitalism actually destroys the free market because it's an unchecked monopoly. And you have that in Dune with the Chom company. And they have a complete control over this. They have like a monopoly over everything. And then also the guild, the Spacing Guild, they're a monopoly in Dune. They're a monopoly that are so powerful that they can dictate the prices of anything, and they have complete control over the Emperor. They're outside the reach of even imperial control because they dictate space travel. If you don't do things their way, they have a complete monopoly on space travel. You don't ever leave your planet. You can't move your troops. You can't ship anything. You're screwed. So that's a theme that's in the book. And same thing with the environmental themes. The environmental themes are in the book, and the whole point of Dune, it's a huge theme in Dune, because in Dune, the theme is the effect of man's impact on the environment, and how humanity can affect the environment. And not only that, it's the other way around in the book too. It's also how that environment can affect humanity. You can see it with the Fremen. Their whole culture is built around the environment of Dune. Their whole culture formed on that. Worshipping the sandworms, their water conservation that they use, and their dream of terraforming Dune into a more habitable planet. So that's all in there. And the whole thing about environmentalism, ever since from as far back as I can remember, the environment has always been an issue. It was an issue when I was a kid in the 80s. It was an issue in the 90s. It's always going to be an issue. Because as long as humans are around, they're going to have some kind of an impact on the environment. So it's always going to be an issue. So it's almost like a universal theme. Now, the other thing that it goes into is the exploitation of oil. I mean, that's a thing that happens. You got OPEC and all that, and you got all this manipulation of oil. That's what spice is. Spice is a stand-in for oil. So whoever controls the spice controls the universe. It's just like in real life. Whoever controls all the oil, whatever country controls the most oil has the most power and has the most sway over governments. And then it goes on to point out the comment that was made, if you think it might get any better from here, think again. In the obvious puff piece from Vanity Fair, they describe Paul Atreides as Greta Thunberg. Now, and then it goes on, think Greta Thunberg, only she's a Jedi with a diploma from Hogwarts. Now, that's just something the author of that article just pulled right out of their ass. Obviously, our author has never read any of the Dune books and doesn't know how stupid of a comparison that is. Paul Atreides becomes a dictator by the second book. He takes full control of the Empire at the end of Dune. And it seems like it's a win, but then the other books deal with the fallout of that. He becomes corrupted. His whole power structure becomes corrupted, and a huge holy war ensues, and then his worshippers, Muad'Dib's worshippers, kill millions upon millions of people. So it's not a good thing. So the whole point of the book is to warn you against charismatic leaders and messiahs and things like that. That's the whole main line, the whole pull-through of the book. So that was just something that's not something that's coming out of the movie or the production or anything like that. That's just something that our writer of the article threw in there. And obviously they threw it in there because they don't know anything about Dune. Villeneuve also detailed changes to the Baron Harkonnen, played by Stellan Skarsgård. He explained, as much as I deeply love the book, I felt that the Baron was flirting very often with character. So let's talk about that. So I don't know why they think that would be woke. And it goes on to explain, he continued, I tried to bring him a bit more dimension. That's why I brought in Stellan. Stellan has something in the eyes. You feel that there's something thinking, that has tension, is calculating inside, deep in the eyes. I can testify it can be quite frightening. So when he says that, if you read the first Dune novel, the character of the Baron is very over the top. When I read the books, some of the dialogue between him and his mentat always make me laugh, because they're so scheming and so, he's almost to the point of being cartoonish in the book. Now, when they made the David Lynch film, they took that cartoonishness and dialed it up to 11 with the way the character is portrayed in the David Lynch film. And then in the 2000 miniseries, they dialed it back down. So I think that's all it means. I think he's going to make the character much more, more menacing somehow, more deadpan, less over the top, less maybe like operatic. That's how I would interpret that. Not being, I don't see how that's going to be woke. And then on to the last of it here. Villeneuve's film will also expand on Lady Jessica's role, Paul's mother. Jessica is a member of the Bene Gesserit and is played by Rebecca Ferguson. And then it just goes on what she already said in the article about how her character is going to be expanded, and Denis Villeneuve is going to expand the roles of the female characters. And even though he's doing that, he's still staying very true to Frank Herbert's book. And so anyway, that's what they're also worried that this is going to be another thing that's woke. Now here's the thing: if this was any other filmmaker, this was Rian Johnson making this movie, then I would have thrown my hands up. I would have zero faith. I would say the thing is dead before it even hits the theaters. But this is not going to be like The Last Jedi. This movie's not going to be like Captain Marvel or The Last Charlie's Angels or The Last Jedi, where the film takes every opportunity it can to take a pot shot at men, and where all the women are going to be arrogant and treat the men like crap and belittle them, like Admiral Holdo in The Last Jedi, who just, for whatever stupid reason, refuses to tell Poe Dameron her plan and looks down at him like he's a complete knob when he asks, well, what's the plan? And she just gives him a dirty look and walks away and refuses to tell him because he's not worth her time to tell him. Like, that story-wise, that doesn't even make sense. Do you honestly think Denis Villeneuve would do something like that in this movie? Like, you're not going to see anything of that in this movie. Like, the difference being Rian Johnson doesn't care about Star Wars, and it showed when he made the film. But Denis Villeneuve loves Dune. It's his favorite science fiction novel. And you can't even compare the two. Like J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, they made their movies in a way because they wanted to kiss up or suck up to Kathleen Kennedy. They made a movie that she wanted to see and not the fans wanted to see. So that's why their movies don't work. That's why their depictions of female characters don't work. Denis Villeneuve's not going to do that. you've seen how he can handle female characters when you go and watch Blade Runner 2049 or Sicario or Arrival. He knows how to do it. They're going to be good characters. Let's just forget about the empowering part, the strong part. All the female characters are going to be well written, even if Liet Kynes is gender swapped. Rest assured, the character's going to be well written, and he's going to pull a good performance out of the actress because he's capable of doing this. So, yeah, this whole article is way off the mark. I think I completely disagree with Bounding in the comics on this one, and I don't think the movie's going to be woke. I think this is going to be a good film, and I think they're off. So, and not only that, now you got the SJWs coming out and attacking the film as well. So it's a weird thing that's happening right now. We're going to see more of this in months to come. Now, I have a prediction I'm going to make right now. You're going to see a lot of these critics, once the movie actually comes out, a lot of people that were crying, saying, oh, this is going to be woke, this is going to be woke. I think they're going to have a different tune after the movie comes out and they see how good this film is going to be. And as for, you might see some of the SJWs quiet down, but I don't know, maybe not, depends. It's hard to say. But you'll probably still see people unhappy with the movie, no matter what. You can't please everyone. So it's a weird thing that's happening, but you're going to see more of this. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.